Well, howdy, camping compadres. So, off to Abilene State Park today. Gonna have a nice New Year's camp out. I've got a great story set up for campfire time, and campfire time is gonna be a bit different this time. The park has a burn ban, so I'm going to be using something a little different. And it wasn't very expensive, but it was a good investment because down here in Texas, that's a pretty big thing. There's always a burn ban. We've had so many fires around here, so I'm going to be using a propane powered fire pit. So we'll see how that works. Otherwise, it's going to be a good trip. Abilene State Park is a nice park. It's not a huge park. The lake is closed, so there won't be any kind of fishing or water activities. But that's okay because the lake is sort of separate from the main park. You actually have to leave the park, drive down the road a ways to get to the lake. So you guys probably won't miss any of that. But it's about 10 o'clock. I'm about to head out. It's roughly an hour and a half. Got a few stops to make in between. And so hopefully we'll get to the park about noon and be able to set up and try to go do a hike. I would say I was going to look for geocaches, but I've already found all of them on the last trip. So that won't be a thing this time. Anyway, I'm going to get going, and I will check back in with you guys when I get to the park. Up and check in, and we'll get to the campsite. So we're all checked in, and let's take a peek at site 48. All right, as you can see, there's the road, and right up there is the park entrance / headquarters. We have a picnic table, a lantern pole, fire pit / barbecue grill, which we will not be able to have a fire in there tonight due to the burn ban, but I can use charcoal to cook on that grate. We got a water faucet, so just in case. And then over here, nice flat area for the tent. But real quick, let me show you an upgrade I made for the Hogtown camping mobile, or the 4Runner. I got some bigger signs because the other ones were tiny. So yeah, it's gonna be a good site. Gonna be a good trip. I'm going to set camp up, and hopefully it won't take me just a minute. And then I'm going to walk down to the park headquarters and check out the souvenir stuff. And then we will have us a good time. Camp is set up. Let's take a peek. All right, as you can see, got my solar lanterns hung up, and they are charging. Picnic table, got my 5-gallon jug. And that's just a camp box. There is the fire pit I'll be using later, propane fueled, to get around the burn ban. And then the tent, which is still one Tigers from the last trip. And then I've also got all of that in there, but I will set that up when I come back from the camp store. So since I went to Possum Kingdom, there was so much stuff that I took on that trip that I did not use and have not used every time I've taken it. So I've kind of condensed a bit. I was carrying like a huge, like, rectangular tote that had everything in it. I had tools, I had, gosh, a lot of stuff. Well, I completely left that at home and bought one of these, and I've only got just the bare minimum of stuff that I will need in there. And then I also switched out my GCI Outdoors chair, which was a nice folding rocking chair, for a one tiger blade chair, and then got me a little, I think it's called a dropper table. Anyway, and same thing here in the tent. I had a big Cabela's cot that I was sleeping on, but that thing took up so much space, so I bought a one tigress cot as well. I'm not gonna lie, I really like one tigress stuff, so I'm collecting a bit of it as I go along. Alrighty, well, like I say, I'm gonna walk up to the park store real quick, get some steps in, and I'm not sure about hiking today because I've only got like maybe 2 hours left of daylight, and I'm going to probably come back from the park store and sit down for a bit. I'm not gonna lie, I wore myself out setting up camp trying to get it done so I could have time to hike, and I'm tired. So I'm gonna go up there and check out some souvenirs and then hang out at camp for a little while, and I might go for a walk. We'll see. I'll just play it by ear. So went down to the park store, got what I needed to get there. I also had to buy a day pass because I'm gonna have a visitor later. But right now, I just finished having a nice little cider. It was a crackberry, and I'll show you more about that later. But right now I need to go to the restroom, and I'm going to show you something kind of neat about this campsite. Okay. So, like I mentioned earlier, the park entrance is just right there. And so this goes around to some more campsites, and then this also goes to more campsites. But the restroom and facilities for this campsite is right down here and to the right. And just down this hill right here, there's all kinds of campsites back in there. Well, technically, the restrooms are within walking distance, but it's a little bit farther if you actually follow the road. So, one thing we discovered when I camped at this site before was there's a nice little trail beaten down. Now, it's probably not the nicest thing in the world to go off trail at a state park, but it does come in handy. And the sad thing is, I couldn't remember what kind of area I had around this campsite, so I didn't bring my trail camera. So hopefully I don't miss some cool wildlife. But anyway, this little trail back in here, I'm going to walk through here, and it comes out right over here at these other campsites. You kind of have to duck under this tree right here. And look at this. There's an awful lot of what looks like charcoal down here on the ground. I don't know why that's there. But as you can see, there's all sorts of campsites under here, and these are all really nice and shady areas to camp. Look at that. Cool, huh? So, there's a nice little day use area right here. And then there's this nice little bridge. Of course, it's not as pretty in the middle of the winter, but when I camped here in the spring, all of this was nice and green and lush, and me and person I was with, we sat right here at this picnic table, and there was some like college age folks that were here, and they were out there playing some kind of game, and I can't remember what the name of that game was, but as you can see, there's a little creek right here. It don't look the best because, well, it's just haven't had a lot of rain in this area lately. In fact, I was talking with one of the rangers up at the park store, and they were telling me that the lake is actually open, it just has no water in it. So that's no bueno. I know on their park map they talk about, you know, what kind of fish are supposed to be in that lake, but if it's dry, they're probably not in there, which is sad. It really is. I hate to see, you know, lakes dry, but that's kind of the thing with Texas, you know, when there's not a lot of rain. But I forgot to mention this earlier, but I wanted to show you this camp area, and I did show it to you, but I failed to mention the fact that this sucker is completely empty. Look at this. Look at that. Not one soul. And I'm sure there'll be some people show up a little later, because check-in time was technically at 2 p.m., but they let me in early. I do see at least one site reserved, but yeah, like I say, if nobody shows up tonight, it's going to be nice, because I'm the only one right now in this camp area. I fixed dinner. I set me a little bed of coals down there, and I cooked a good camp carnivore meal. Let me show you. All right, so those are like some kind of burnt in smoked sausage and some smokehouse cheese sticks. So, nice little carnivore camp meal. All right, so I'm gonna sit down and eat and just hang out. I probably won't see you guys again until right before bedtime, but let me show you something real quick. All right, so I got the tent set up. Of course, there's my new one tigress cot with the sleeping bag and all that in there, and I got a pad on there and my mess. But yeah, simple times. All right, folks, check this out. Got some turkeys, and I wasn't able to get it on video, but like right in here, there was about, I don't know, almost a dozen deer. Well, there they are. See them? And they were just right here by the road just a second ago. But I had no idea they were there. I was just sitting there eating dinner, and I heard a turkey call, and all the wildlife was here. Man, look at that. Well, nice to know I got some kind of wildlife. That's awesome. But these turkey, and look at that. That's a big sucker. Gotta love it. All right, so a little bit of an update. Shortly after I told you guys about the turkeys and the deer, I'm sitting here reading my book, and I hear walking around in the bushes back behind me, and it's the two turkeys. And another side note, while they were still prowling around the first time, I decided to walk out kind of in the street and get a closer look. Well, this turkey just walked right up to me like nothing. I mean, and I've got a turkey at home, and she's pretty big. And this bird was taller than her, but not as broad as her. So anyway, it just come walking right up to me, and I'm like, "All right, big bird, nice to see you." And so I turn to come back into camp, and it just keeps following me. And I'm like, somebody has fed this turkey or something. It is not afraid of me. And so, I mean, it was getting close to me, like right up behind me. And I looked back, and it was all fluffed out. You know how they fan their feathers out, and I'm like, okay, now I know what that means. That means somebody's wanting to be a little bit shenanigans, you know. And so I was like, all right, time to go. And so I kind of shooed away, you know, and it went on about its business. So like I say, I'm sitting here reading my book, and I hear moving in the bushes over here, and like I say, it's those two turkeys. Well, I thought for the longest time it was going to come back into camp with me. The other one walked over kind of towards the back side of my campsite. Well, next thing I know, the one that tried to bow up at me, it flew up in a tree. And so now I've got two turkeys hanging out right out here up in the tree, and then over on the other side of me there's an owl in a tree. And so a little bit ago it was hooting back and forth, and the turkey would answer it. Funny, just funny. I love it. I love the critters. I love the fact that I'm the only one in this camp area. So yeah, obviously the wildlife are going to take advantage of that. But yeah, just wanted to give you guys a quick update. Tell you a quick turkey story. But yeah, interesting trip already. So, like I say, I've got a friend coming, and when she gets here, we're going to hang out and get ready for the new year. And then she's going to probably take off after the ball drops, so to speak. Of course, we're not going to be watching the ball drop. We're just going to be sitting around this fire pit and hanging out. And so she's not staying the night. And so then I'm going to get in bed, and tomorrow should be a nice, fun hiking day. So I guess I'm going to let y'all get for tonight. I checked, and definitely there's there are geocaches left that I've not done, but they're the ones you have to actually pay to find, and I'm not going to do that this time. But yeah, I'm going to go hiking. I've already found which trail I'm going to go on, but depending on how much propane I've got left, I might have to go after a refill. Let me show you this fire pit in action. Look at that. I mean, it's not a typical campfire, but I mean, it's nice and warm, and it looks like a campfire. But yeah, it's a great trip so far. I'm looking really forward to spending some time here alone this time. Possum Kingdom, it was a good trip. Don't get me wrong, 100 times better than the last time I camped at Possum Kingdom. But it was just so busy. There was those kids, and they were so loud, and they were always screaming and hollering, and the parents were screaming and hollering at them, and there was people everywhere. There is not a soul here. In fact, somebody could come and get me. A Sasquatch could come and abduct me, and nobody would even be the wiser. But yeah, so fun times tomorrow. I'm going to let you guys nose for the night. I'm going to sit here and enjoy this fire and find another fun book to read, or I might just sit there and read the Bible a little bit. But I will say one thing, though, before I leave. The only drawback so far of this campsite is it's right here on the main road of the park. And I don't know where these people are going and coming from, but it has been busy. And then just a little bit ago, I heard somebody driving. Well, let me back up. Back towards this way, it sounded like somebody yelling, screaming. And then in just a little bit, there was this car comes driving by. And the guy was, whoever was driving it, I don't know if it was the driver or who, but they were going, oh, like somebody was hurt. So I don't know what that was all about. But anyway, kind of weird stuff. But I'm going to sit here and hang out with these freaking critters and find a good book to read. And I will see you guys in the morning. Well, good morning, guys. So it was a good night. Like I say, I had a visitor. She hung out till midnight, and we sat around the fire and talked and tried to stay warm. And at one point, we thought we were going to have to cut it short and go get propane for this fire pit, but it worked out. Yeah, we stuck it out till midnight and celebrated the new year, and then she had to drive home. And so here I am, day 2. Got up about 7:15, 7:30, and got up, started the fire, made me some coffee, which I should have put more coffee in my little container, but I've got some instant coffee for in the morning, so darn allergies. So I'll have instant coffee tomorrow morning. But right now I'm going to sit down and do my Bible study. It's a new year, so I'm going to start a new Bible plan. Be reading in the King James, and going to try to start this year in the right way. I will probably have to run into town in a bit, like I say, to get more propane, and then there's a couple little things that I wanted to get, and Abilene is pretty quick. It's a pretty quick ride into Abilene, so I'm going to do that, and then I'll probably do that this morning, and then when I get back, I'm going to eat, let's see, I'm going to eat lunch. I've got a backpacker meal for lunch, and then I'm going to do a hike, and I think the hiking trail is not too far from where I'm at, so I'm going to walk to it. But yeah, I'm going to get some hiking in, and then tonight we'll have a fire and a story. Alright, so my turkey friends are back. And this one here is probably the one that tried to bow up at me yesterday. But what they don't know is I have a turkey at home. And I know how to deal with these guys. But yeah, look at this bird. Such a pretty bird. So I made it to town. Spent way more money than I really meant to, but at least I got some stuff that I needed. So after I got back from town, I had lunch. I had a Mountain House meal. It was the chicken and potatoes, mashed potatoes, and really I wasn't sure what to expect from it, but it wasn't bad. So now it's hiking time. So I wanted to show this to you guys. That building up there is the group hall for the park, and it was part of a CCC, Civilian Conservation Corps project when this park was built back in the 30s. And then right over there is the swimming pool, and this is one of the few state parks in Texas that has an actual swimming pool. But on the other side of that facility, there's, I think, a volleyball court, a baseball diamond, and I forget what else. So, as you can see, we are here. And we're going to take the trail, this green line, all the way until it comes out right there. And then we're going to kind of go across here, pick up this yellow. Yeah, pick up the yellow and go up here, and then try to make our way back over here. We might have to cross somewhere up here, but anyway, something like that. We'll figure it out. So as you can see, hello.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, sir. All right. Lots of people in the park today. It was pretty dead yesterday, but today, not so much. So let's take a look at the trail. All right, see, there's a lot of cedars and some live oak. I can't really tell about pecans. You can see that at one point there was some fire out here. But yeah, looks like a nice trail. I don't know how long it is, but we'll see. So along the trail, I've noticed these little information placards. So it's kind of a neat little thing on the trail. This one's talking about black vultures, or as I like to refer to them, buzzards. But yeah, so far there's been one for white-tailed deer and one for hackberry trees. I come across this little area and I've never seen it before when I've camped here. Let me show you. So it's like a little body of water. I'm not sure if it's just part of like a creek or river or just a pond. It's a tad bit dry. As you can see, there's picnic tables around. Yeah, and looks like some sort of critters have been walking around in the mud. I don't want to bog down myself, but actually those look like human tracks. But there's a few coon tracks over there. Yeah, neat little thing. I just kind of come across it. So we're here. We started here. It says it's only just under a mile. It felt like it was a farther trail than that. And loop around and hit up the connecting trail here and take it around, and then maybe there might be a bridge, or I don't know. We'll figure out a way to get back over here. All right, guys, I'm on the bird trail right now, and I thought you might be interested in this little area. This is a bird watching station, and it's kind of neat looking. I don't know what all they got in here. I've never actually been to this area at the park, but let's check it out. Oh, this tells you about all the birds that you could see here. And it looks like just a little a little shed. And look out there, and there's all kinds of, there's a squirrel running around stealing from the birds. There's some birds up there on those feeders. And they got a cage in there like they must have had something. But yeah, just a neat little area that they've set up to view the birds. Alright, so I just came off of the bird trail and it came out here in the shelter area. So you got all these screen shelters, and they're basically, I think I've mentioned those at another park. It's just 4 walls and a floor. I mean, you still have to have sleeping bags and cots and everything, but they're kind of neat. Of course, there's a restroom facility, and I think this might be a cabin, this little green building. So I decided to take advantage of this picnic table to sit down for a few minutes and have me a snack. I'm gonna snack on some Parma crisps. No carbs. Well, 2 grams of carbs. So, but it's carnivore. So I'm gonna sit here and snack, and I'm gonna make my way back to camp. I made it back to camp. It was about a 2-hour hike. I'm not sure how far, but it was at least, I would say it was at least 2 miles, 2.5. But I'm gonna hang out at camp for a while now, just chill out, maybe read, and then I'm debating on if I even want to eat dinner tonight. I had a pretty big lunch, but we will tell some stories tonight, and I'll see you then. So it's going to be dark soon, and it'll be time for a good story. Right now, just wanted to show you guys what I've been drinking on this trip. This is a Bishop cider crackberry, and it is pretty good. Not as strong as the skill check ciders I had last time, but it's really good. I have really enjoyed all the ciders that I've tried from this company. But they're a Texas, I think they're from Texas, I'm pretty sure. Let me look. Uh-oh. I hear the turkeys out in the distance. They have hung out with me most of the day. So Bishop cider, yes, is brewed in Dallas, Texas. So anyway, like I say, I've just been kind of hanging out since I got back from the hike. Snacked a little bit, read some in a new book that I started last night. It's a Dean Koontz book called Elsewhere. And I used to not like Dean Koontz. I tried to read a couple of his books, and it took me forever to get through one of them. And so I never really went back to him until about 2 years ago. And since then, I've read almost a dozen of them. I used to be a huge Stephen King fan, and I still do like a lot of his novels, but I have my reasons for kind of losing interest in Stephen King. But yeah, it's been a great day. Kind of cloudy. It's going to get windy here in a little while. Hopefully it holds off long enough for me to tell a good story. Let's see. I also brought some other drinks, and it's a Yingling, and they have one, it's called Black and Tan, and it's a mixture of their porter and their standard lager, and they are very good if you like that type of beer. It's a pretty dark beer, but yeah, I'm listening to the turkeys over here. They're coming towards camp. These birds crack me up. But yeah, when it gets dark, I'll light this fire, which is pretty easy because it's propane based. My allergies have been driving me crazy today. But yeah, we'll light this fire and we'll have us a good story. So I will see you guys at story time. So I'm sitting here, I got my youngling black and tan, and it's time to tell a story. So anybody who is into paranormal subjects might have heard of something called the black-eyed kids. I don't know when the first sighting of these kids was, but I do know that there's a few consistencies from story to story. Usually they're obviously kids, and the main thing is their eyes are completely pitch black. You know, not just the irises, not just the lens or any of that, like the whole thing. And so another thing is a lot of times these kids wear hoodies. And then lastly, their motivation is they want to be let in somewhere, whether it be a car, you know, somebody's house, whatever. And so where this ties into Abilene starts in the mid-90s. And there was a guy that lived here in Abilene. He was a journalist, and his name was Brian Bethel. And one night, he was at home, and he realized he'd forgot to pay his internet bill. And so he remembered they had a drop-off box, and so he gets in his car. This is at like 9:30 at night. He leaves and goes downtown, and there was a shopping center next to the movie theater where the service provider was. And so, it being middle of the night, he parks kind of under the marquee for the theater so he'll have enough light to write out a check. So he's writing a check, and all of a sudden he hears a knock on the window on his side of the car. And he looks up, and there are these two kids standing there. And one of them was probably like 14, thereabouts. And the other one was a little younger, maybe 10. And they're just standing there, and they knock again. And so he only rolls the window down like maybe like that much. And is like, you know, can I help you? And the older one did all the talking. The younger one never said anything. And so he's like, can you give us a ride to my mom's house? We need money for the movie. And Brian's like, what movie? And the kid's like, the one that's playing. And by this time, this is like after 10. And back then, you know, they had the show times up there. Well, the last showing had already started and was, you know, probably in the middle of the movie. And so that stuck out to him. But the kid just kept asking, you know, can you let us in the car, you know, and give us a ride? You need to let us in the car. And at first, Brian was just skeptical of it. You know, he thought maybe they were just up to no good. But the more he sat there and he talked to these kids, the more he started feeling terror. You know, something wasn't right about these kids. And the more and more this kid talked, And they were, and the weird thing is he was talking kind of in a monotone, but he was still very pushy. You know, let us in. You got to let us in the car. You got to take us to my mom's house. And Brian just kept getting more and more scared. And at one point, he realized his hand was on the door handle, like he was going to open it. And so he realizes it, and he takes his hand away. And when he does, he breaks eye contact with the kid for the first time. And as soon as he does that, the kid gets more like demanding. You got to let us in. You know, we're not going to hurt you. We don't have a gun or anything, but you got to let us in. You know, just take us to our moms, you know, and we'll be gone before you know it. And something told him that that was not the case. And so when he does look back at these kids, he notices for the first time their eyes are completely black, like obsidian, you know, no whites, no nothing, just pitch black. Of course, if it was me, my thinking, based on my beliefs, I would say these kids are freaking demons, or at least possessed by demons. But regardless, you know, as soon as he realizes this, the younger kid, who's not said anything, kind of looks at him funny and is like, you know, almost like he had a look on his face like, oh no, he knows. So anyway, the kid just keeps, gotta let us in, you gotta let us in, you know. And finally, Brian can't do it no more. He puts the car in reverse and he peels out of the parking lot. And as he's driving away, he looks back and the kids are not even there anymore. And it's one of those things where they should have at least still been there, but it was like they were never there to begin with. And so anyway, this story has kind of been around the internet. The first time I heard this specific story was on a show called Monsters and Mysteries in America, which was on Destination America, like, I don't know, 10 years ago, something maybe. But anyway, needless to say, it's kind of a creepy thing, you know. I mean, even if it's not just kids, but you see anybody who has nothing, like jet black eyes and that's it, no whites, no nothing. I mean, that's spooky stuff, man. But anyway, like I say, that's the story. Creepy, you know. But so before I go for the night, I just want to talk about a couple things. Like I've said so far, this trip has been great. It's been my best trip here so far, and I can say this park is probably my second or third favorite park. Meridian is just awesome. I will talk about how awesome Meridian State Park is from now on. But I've got two more parks to go back to, Meridian and Mineral Wells, and I'm gonna probably hit up one of those in April or May, and then go back to the other one later in the year, like in the fall or something. And then after that, I'm going to start going to some other parks I've never been to. And I'm going to try to find other places besides just state parks. But yeah, I'm going to keep camping, as my motto says. I enjoy it. It gives me an opportunity to not only share my passion for nature with other people, but to also get back to God and enjoy His creation. You know, we were created not to just be here. We were created to be stewards of the earth and to take care of it. And I'm not like an activist or anything, but I just love nature. I love the wildlife. I mean, I've had 2 turkeys hanging out with me this whole trip. In fact, they're perched up in a tree right now, probably 50 foot away from me. But that's why I do this. I make these videos. Yeah, I talk a lot, and it probably gets boring, and but my focus is not to make money. It's not to get famous. It's to share my passion for the outdoors with other people. If I can sit there and influence one person to leave their home and go out, whether it be to a state park or a national forest or heck, even a KOA, get out and do it, man. Life is too short to stay at home. So I'm going to keep camping, and I'm going to keep making videos, and hopefully one of these days I will find my magic formula to make my videos more, reach more people, but just get out. I can't tell you to leave the phone at home, but get out, take you a book, heck, take your Bible, and just enjoy the creation. That's where it's at. We were not meant to live in cities. We were not meant to spend all of our lives indoors. We were meant to get out and be outside. Like people say, touch grass. But anyway, I'm probably going to sign off for tonight. Tomorrow, I'm going to pack up after breakfast, and I'll run up to the area where the big group hall is and get some pictures of that and maybe do some filming there, and then it'll be back on the road. So like I say, April or May, somewhere in there, we'll go somewhere. And I just want to say I appreciate everybody watching, whether it's 2 people or 1,000. I appreciate every one of you guys, and God bless you guys. So I'm going to sit here, finish this tasty brew, and enjoy this fire, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Well, here it is, the end of the trip. So I just packed up camp. I'm about to head home, and it's a windy sucker here this morning, but it was a great trip. Very refreshing, rejuvenating. One of the best camping trips I've been on, with the exception of the wind this morning. I mean, it was okay earlier whenever I got up and made coffee, but I was gonna cook breakfast, and there was no way I could cook breakfast with what wind was there. Coffee wasn't too bad, but man, it like I say, it's been such an amazing trip. It's a new year, new beginnings, and I am so grateful for everybody who's watched the channel. Grateful for that God has given me the desire to come out here and hang out in nature and film silly videos, and it's the best hobby in the world. I mean, depending on how you do it, it could be expensive, and sometimes it can be cheap. But I highly recommend Abilene State Park. It's a nice little gym, but wait till you guys see Meridian. Meridian is it's beautiful, and so is Lake Mineral Wells, but Lake Mineral Wells is huge. So anyway, I'm about to hit the road. I'm kind of looking around for my turkey friends. They have been hanging around some this morning. But if you like my channel, please subscribe, give me a like. If you like me even more, buy a t-shirt or something. I think I got some t-shirts, some stickers. I think I got a tumbler too. Anyway, that's it for now. Like I say, sometime in April or May, I'm gonna hit up either Meridian or Mineral Wells. Just, I don't know, I think maybe Meridian might be a better fall camping trip. We'll see. But until then, guys, I appreciate your support, and you guys keep camping.